Senator Danforth called me at home after the testimony, and they wanted me to testify that night to not let the testimony, her testimony, fill up the news cycle.
This afternoon, Mr. Bush left for Camp David. You'd have to describe the mood here as resigned, I think, and somber, not at all sure that Clarence Thomas is going to survive this.
So I reluctantly agreed to come back, I think, at 8 o'clock.
He may have thought it was necessary to go back in front of the Senate, but honestly, from his wife's point of view, watching the man who is my beloved husband, I didn't know he had it within him to keep going.
So I get to Senator Danforth's office, and we sit and we begin to discuss what's ahead. So I was exhausted, and I asked him to get rid of all the people, and he turned off the lights. And I just laid down on the couch and just closed my eyes. Surrounded by the darkness of early evening, drifting in the liminal space between sleep and waking. I must have been thinking of To Kill a Mockingbird, in which Atticus Finch, a small-town Southern lawyer, defends Tom Robinson, a black man on trial for the rape of a white woman.
Gentlemen of the jury, have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor.
I had lived my whole life knowing that Tom's fate might be mine. Strip away the fancy talk, and you were left with the same old story. You can't trust black men around women.
We find the defendant guilty as charged.
This one may be a big city judge with a law degree from Yale, but when you get right down to it, he's just like the rest of them. One of the things that came to mind after I rested a little bit, I said, Jack, this is a high-tech lynching. And he said, if that's what you think, say it. And so I wrote that on a legal pad, and he just exhorted me to go in the name of the Holy Ghost.
There were conservative groups who were marshaling activists from around the country to come in and line the hallways. And we came out of Senator Danforth's office, and we were going down the hallway, and all these people were clapping and very excited. And he said to me, "Who are those people?" And I said, "I think they're angels."
Committee will please come to order. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
Senator, I would like to start by saying unequivocally, uncategorically, that I deny each and every single allegation against me today that suggested in any way that I had conversations of a sexual nature or about pornographic material with Anita Hill, that I ever attempted to date her, that I ever had any personal sexual interest in her, or that I in any way ever harassed her. This is a circus. It's a national disgrace. And from my standpoint, as a black American, as far as I'm concerned, it is a high-tech lynching for uppity blacks who in any way deign to think for themselves, to do for themselves, to have different ideas. And it is a message that unless you kowtow to an old order, this is what will happen to you. You will be lynched, destroyed, caricatured. by a committee of the U.S. Senate rather than hung from a tree.
When Clarence gave the high-tech lynching speech, I knew how little of my husband was sitting in front of me. And I knew that God was with him because I knew he wasn't doing that on his own, because I knew how weak he was at that point.
And Judge, what is your response to those specific charges again?
Senator, my response is that I categorically, unequivocally deny them.
Thank you.
They did not occur. Senator, I wasn't harmed by the Klan. I wasn't harmed by the Knights of Camellia. I wasn't harmed by the Aryan race. I wasn't harmed by a racist group. I was harmed by this process. This process, which accommodated these attacks on me. I would have preferred an assassin's bullet to this kind of living hell that they have put me and my family through.
You haven't mentioned your grandfather. I would like to have you tell me what you think advice he would give to you if he were advising you today.
When I was getting hammered in the public and getting criticized, and I complained to him, he told me to stand up for what I believe in. That's what he'd tell me today. Not to quit, not to turn tail, not to cry uncle, and not to give up until I'm dead. He had another statement. Give out, but don't give up. That's what he'd say to me.
Mr. Chairman, I yield.
I'd like you to describe now, for this gathering, what it's like to be accused of sexual harassment. And let me add the word unjustly accused of sexual harassment.
The day I received the phone call on Saturday night, last Saturday night, about 7:30, and told that this was going to be in the press, I died. The person you knew, whether you voted for me or against me, died. In my views, that is an injustice.
Judge, you're here, though. Some people have been spreading the rumor that perhaps you're going to withdraw. What's Clarence Thomas going to do?
I'd rather die than withdraw. If they're gonna kill me, they're gonna kill me.
So you'd still like to serve on the Supreme Court?
I'd rather die than withdraw from the process. Not for the purpose of serving on the Supreme Court, but for the purpose of not being driven out of this process. I would not be scared. I don't like bullies. I've never run from bullies. I never cry uncle, and I'm not going to cry uncle today, whether I want to be on the Supreme Court or not.
We're recessed for 15 minutes.